Hello, beautiful people. We are back with the video on conjugation 2. Out of the 4 groups that we have in total in Polish language, we've already looked at group 1 endings and group 2 endings of this conjugation 2 within the present tense of the Polish language. Here we have a quick recap of the endings of those verbs, of those groups. Group 1 had endings of ich and eć, and we recognized this group by these preceding letters marked in red. Group 2 had these letters marked in red, and today we will be looking at group 3, and these will be the letters that will show us that we're dealing with group 3. First of all, group 3 has the endings of ich and eć. How do we distinguish it? Well, as I said, by the letters marked in red, but the good thing about this group, it's easy to spot because it consists of the double letters of the Polish language, which are ch, sz, ż, and also the specific singular ż that we also have. There is a slight difference in the endings, as you can see. The first person singular and third person plural don't change. They have the special Polish vowels ę and on, whereas the rest of the persons just changes the letter I to letter Y. So the endings are ę, isz, imy, icie, on. As usual, let's have a look at examples that will show us more. So the first ending we'll look at is czyć. And the verb I've selected for you is tańczyć, to dance. So what do? We do the usual thing. We have to take off the letter ci of the infinitive of the verb. And we are left with the stem tańczy. However, in this group, we will also remove the preceding letter before the chi of the infinitive, which basically means that throughout this entire group, we will be removing the actual endings that mark this group, which is ich and eć. After we have this stem of tańcz, we add the verb endings, and the final verb sounds like this. Ja tańczę, tańczę. Ty tańczysz, tańczysz. On, ona, ono tańczy, tańczy. My tańczymy, tańczymy. Wy tańczycie, tańczycie. Oni, one tańczą, tańczą. The first thing that you have to realize with this specific verb is that the Polish letter ni is not really strong. Notice that I don't say ja tańczę. I'm not trying to emphasize the letter. The letter is rather soft. Ja tańczę. It softens the sound of the N. And that's basically it. Just remember, it's not really strong because you can't really pronounce it in this strong. You would really have to make this stop really within this verb to kind of divide the two syllables. Tańczę. But we don't really do that often in Polish. So the verb is tańczę. Let's have a look at another verb, this time with the endings of czeć. And the verb I've selected for you is milczeć, to be silent. So what do? We take off the last letter of the infinitive ci. We are left with milcze, but we know that in group 2, we will also take off the preceding letter for ci. And the stem that we are left with is milcz. And then we add the verb endings. And the final verb looks like this. Ja milczę, milczę. Ty milczysz, milczysz. On, ona, ono milczy, milczy. My milczymy, milczymy. Wy milczycie, milczycie. Oni, one milczą, milczą. So let's have a look at another verb, this time with the stem ending in szyć. So the verb I've selected is suszyć. Note that I've also place in brackets się, which is the reflexive pronoun that marks reflexive verbs in Polish, because suszyć can also be suszyć się, a reflexive verb, depending on how you use it, and that basically means to dry. We do the same thing as usual. We will take off the last two letters, okay? So ci and y in this case, and we will be left with the stem of susz. And after that, we will add the adequate stem endings. So the final verb will look like this. Ja suszę, suszę. Ty suszysz, suszysz. On, ona, ono suszy, suszy. My suszymy, suszymy. Wy suszycie, suszycie. Oni, one suszą, suszą. To give you an example of a phrase that would make this verb reflexive, of course you can say I am drying my hair, no? So ja suszę moje, my hair, włosy. Ja suszę moje włosy. But as an example, for example, let's say the clothes are drying. So you will say ubrania, which means clothes, suszą się, because they are drying themselves. That's how we see it. You could technically say that you are suszyć się, but we have a different verb really for that when it comes to people. So just bear that in mind. But like hair or clothes or anything that you need to dry, you can use this verb, okay? So bear in mind, you can use it in the reflexive form as well. Next verb with the endings of szeć is słyszeć, which means to hear. So we take off the ci, we also take off the because we take off in group 3 the last two letters, and we are left with the stem słysz. And then we add the verb endings. So the actual verb looks like this. Ja słyszę, słyszę. Ty słyszysz, słyszysz. On, ona, ono słyszy, słyszy. My słyszymy, słyszymy. Wy słyszycie, słyszycie. Oni, one słyszą, słyszą. Another verb, this time with the endings of żyć. As you can see, there's a lot of letters that are double letters, of course, and we have a whole video devoted to double letters and the alphabet, so have a look at that if that seems very foreign to you. However, marzyć is a verb that means to dream. Okay, but it's not to have a dream, because we have a different verb for that. It's about dreaming, about having something, doing something, you know, like daydreaming sort of. So what do? We do the same thing as usual. So we take off the letter ci of the infinitive, but in group 3 of the conjugation 2, we also take off the preceding letter, in this case y. So we take off the entire ending of ich, and we are left with the stem of marz. And then we add the verb endings. So the actual verb at the end looks like this. Ja marzę, marzę. Ty marzysz, marzysz. On, ona, ono marzy, marzy. My marzymy, marzymy. Wy marzycie, marzycie. Oni, one marzą, marzą. Another verb, this time with the ending of rzeć, which is the verb to patrzeć, to look. So look at something or someone. So by this stage, we know what we do. What do? Yes, we take off the last two letters of the infinitive, which in this case are the letter e and ci, so the ending of eć. And the stem that we are left with is patrz. And then we add the adequate verb endings. So the final verb sounds like this. Ja patrzę, patrzę. Ty patrzysz, patrzysz. On, ona, ono patrzy, patrzy. My patrzymy, patrzymy. Wy patrzycie, patrzycie. One patrzą, patrzą. Just take a note that the actual letters of RZ, which is the double letter that sounds like ż, when it is preceded by the letter T, it's not really a strong sound. So I am not saying ja patrzę, ż. It changes phonetically to a soft sound. So ja patrzę, it sounds more like a sz, double letter sz, rather than this double letter ż. Another verb, this time with the ending of żyć. So as you can see, it sounds exactly the same like the double letter. It's just written differently. But we do have to distinguish between these two letters, particularly when we're writing, because there are some words that sound exactly the same, but they mean a different thing. Just we recognize them just by distinguishing between these two letters. So here I have a verb called wróżyć, to foretell. So you maybe foretell your future of becoming a master of Polish language. So we did the same thing as we've been doing so far. We take off the last two letters of the infinitive, which in this case are the letters of Y and ci. So ich ending. And the stem we are left with is wróż. And then we add the adequate verb endings. So the final verb sounds like this. Ja wróżę, wróżę, ty wróżysz, wróżysz, on, ona, ono wróży, wróży, my wróżymy, wróżymy, wy wróżycie, wróżycie, oni, one wróżą, wróżą. And the last ending for today that is part of group 3 of conjugation 2 is the ending of rzeć. So the verb that I have here is LEŻEĆ, which is basically to be lying down on a floor, on a sofa, on a bed, wherever you want to lie down, okay? And we are going to do exactly the same thing. We will take off the last two letters of the infinitive, and the stem we have is leż. After that, we add the adequate verb endings, and the final verb sounds like this. Ja leżę, leżę, ty leżysz, leżysz, on, ona, ono leży, leży, my leżymy, leżymy, wy leżycie, leżycie, oni, one leżą, leżą. That was the last verb that I wanted to show you out of this group 3, which is the last group of conjugation number 2. Here is again the slide with that recaps and summarizes this group, the endings for each individual person, along with the double letters or the single letter ż that will help you to recognize this group when you encounter a Polish verb. And this way, we have completed conjugation number 2 of the present tense verbs in Polish. There are some stem exceptions in conjugation 2, but we will explore it soon. I'll make a separate video. These are the general rules that you need to remember about conjugation 2. And as you know, there are 4 types of conjugations in Polish, and we are discovering the first type of the present tense verb and its 4 conjugations. We've completed second conjugation, and we are left with 2 more conjugations. We basically have done like 50% of the conjugation types of this present tense verbs that we are looking at now that could be called as an equivalent to the present continuous in English, but not entirely. Again, a subject for a different video. Let's take it step by step. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.